Hello, and welcome to the stream today. I know this is not our usual time, but I just wanted to say thank you for coming in. My name is David, and we're about to find out what is production. We're going to do several things. You'll see them on the side over here. I got to figure out my pointing. Introduction, production. What is production? Production fundamentals, the role of technology, and then we're going to shift a little bit to the basics of music production, getting started, and we'll have some time for Q&A. I believe I see Micah Flemons in the comments, but that was maybe an hour ago, which is okay. But we're just going to do what we can with the resources that are available. So thank you for coming in today and for just being awesome. So, question I have for you is, what is production? What is production? And I really wanted to get to the meat of this. So this is from Oxford. Production is the action of making or manufacturing from components, taking different components and putting them together from raw materials. The process of creating something from the components or the sum of its parts. For example, if you want to produce a car, you have to take the engine and the wheels and the doors and the seats and the wipers and the lights and all of those things and put them all together. And if you look it up, the process of making a movie, the producer, the art of production, of coming together and making a movie or a song, that is the definition of production. And wanted to say good evening to the people. I'm greeting the audience as they come in. I want to say good evening to you, Florence. Thank you so much for coming through today. And we're also going to say hello to Micah Flemons. So glad that you guys were able to be here. But I wanted to just touch base. So we spoke about production, what it is, the art of putting things together and making something out of the raw materials. Or so someone has an idea and then they get together and find all the components that would bring that idea into the real world as an object or as a product that can be bought and sold in the marketplace or even just enjoyed. You may produce something as a gift, right? And just wanted to touch base on those. And so for this video, we are going to just go through the basic production principles and how they apply to music production, which is where I am trying to make myself better at this year. The concept for this show, the germ of this show, the idea for this show has been around for a very long time in my mind, and I've been putting it off, doing, producing songs for people, just putting it off because I didn't have a clear framework in mind to get into it. Hello, Rich Cat Ranch and Tall Man. Thank you for coming in, and wanted to do it. And sometimes I have to look at people who've done things successfully and realize that there is a way that it can be done. And for me, doing it live is a way for me to be like, you gotta do it. It's like I set the date. It has to be done. I have to do a little bit of research and make sure that I have all the pieces in place. So that's the germ of this video, and I wanted to make sure that I got it done. And I know that Florence and Kirk and all the other people be like, David, you said you were gonna do it. So yes, and those people started out not knowing for sure how to do it either. For example, thinking of production, you think of the greats. I was talking to someone earlier today about Mr. Ford and the Model T. And so cars were being made. He found a way to mass produce. He figured out a way. There wasn't a way to do it before he did it. And so he had the idea. He's like, there's got to be a way. And so for me, in order to do this thing, figure out and do it live, I learned this hack from Kirk. Kirk was like, yo, I've been meaning to do this show and I kept putting it off. Just do it live. Cut it up later and you have your thing. So anyways, we're going to be going into this particular topic and just wanted to make sure you understand what we're getting into today. And in subsequent shows, I will be doing more the process of actually creating. But this show is more set as an introduction as to the rest of them and how they were going to go. You know, if time permits, we may get into a little bit of the music production bit. All right. So for those of you who are here and Rich Cat Ranch, which is really Kathy, I'm not sure if Rich is the one actually YouTubing. I believe Kath is the one that makes the YouTubey things happen. For those starting out not knowing for sure how to do it, that's good. That's good. Okay, so I just want to back up here to this scene to show you guys. Oh, nope, that's not the right scene. That is definitely not the right scene. This is the scene we're looking at. So this gives you a little bit of the format we're going to. Right now we're just doing the introduction, production fundamentals, role of technology, the basics of music production, getting started, and then the conclusions and Q&A. Okay, so I will just jump right through to. We already did the definition of production in a broad sense, right? So what are the different types of productions? You have manufacturing, you have media, you have digital. If you guys have a different type of production that you want to put in the chat, you can put that as well too. But these are the ones that really jumped out at me when I first looked at the various things and manufacturing, digital, media, etc. You can go on and name a whole bunch of different types of production. And for production, you really want to highlight the process. So you have planning, resources, execution, and quality control. So we have the four main stages of production. In any production, you have planning, resources, execution, and quality control. And that leads me to the second part of this is called the role of technology in production. Now, in in the production process, technology plays a very big part, especially in modern times. Now, the idea, concept, the idea or concept can go quickly from an idea or concept to a finished product in a very short space of time now because of the advancement in technology. Back in the early 20th century, when Ford perfected his production line, it was technologically possible, but it took a lot of trial and error and different pieces to go. Even when Alexander Graham Bell was creating the telephone, or Edison was working on electricity, those ideas and concepts, building prototypes and making them go through the various steps were very, very difficult. But now in today's society, we have technology from AI to um, different modeling tools, and you can 3D print your models and see how they will work in real time. The production facilities, the impact of technology has really brought production a long, long way. Talking about music, in times past, let's transitioning now to music production. In times past, we've had tape and analog systems for cassettes. I remember using a cassette that had um, four channels on it, and um, recording to tape. You know, reel to reel tapes, not just a cassette. I've used systems that had cassettes, but just tapes and reels and going back and forth. It was it was awesome to see. Thank you, Rich Cat, for sharing, Micah. And I have really been the recipient of the technology. Trust me, I don't have the capacity or the space to put a tape recorder in my studio here. And so what we've found is over the years, different technologies have evolved so that now, we have tools called digital audio workstations such as Logic, Cakewalk, Ableton Live, Reaper. There are a whole bunch of different tools out there, synthesizers like keyboards that you can play. Woo! Just to name a few of the tools that can be used. Computers, the MacBook, PCs. Using different operating systems, if it were Windows or Linux, or even as the MacBook runs Mac OS, it is very, very, very. I wanted to say it was very, very easy, but the barrier to entry, especially for music production, now is so much lower than it was in years past when you had to have a studio and you had to pay lots of money to get in there and pay per hour for the production process, you know, in the production process, and this is the next one we wanted to talk about in the basic music production environment, you have each artist has their own unique style. Each artist has their own unique brand of how they create. Some people work late at night, some early in the morning, some get their inspiration from nature and, you know, with their guitar out in the woods and, you know, the birds and everything. So there are different ways that people get their inspiration and their creativity. Right now, we talked a little bit from music going from analog to digital. And in this space, the music production process, we're talking now just specifically about music production, having to do with composition of a song, talking about the creativity, and then the recording of that song. It can take so many different forms, right? So we have composition, recording, mixing, and mastering. Those are the four elements of music production. And there are some aspects of those that I am not familiar with in a very tangible way. I've recorded, I've composed, but the mixing and the mastering, those are parts of the production process that I was hoping this year to master, and I'm going to be doing them with you live. Some of them are going to be scheduled, like this one. Others are going to be impromptu. Like I get an idea and I have to record it. If I sit down and do it without being live, then I find myself distracted. So doing it live is, as Kirk says, the cheat code to making sure that it gets done. All right. And as you have questions, just leave them in the chat. Leave them in the comments below this video as well. If any of this doesn't make sense or is unclear, right? If you have questions, you'd be like, David, you said X. And so leave a comment below. We also would like for you to right? That comes at the end as well, but I wanted to put that in the middle of the video. All right. So in this, we've talked about the basics of music production, composition, recording, mixing, and mastering. And so one of the tools that we will be looking a lot in this series is Logic. I use Logic for my live streams. Like the piano sound you hear has Logic as a bedrock of it. I have a main stage. Main stage is another production tool that I use, but it's mostly for performance. But I can use those pads. The string sound you're hearing is coming from main stage. If I were to mute that for a minute, I'm going to mute main stage. Where is it? That sound that you're hearing is just Logic. So making that transition is going to be pretty cool. Now, wanting to bring this back, if we have any, as I said, any questions about the music production process. I know some of you are great singers, like Rich Cat Ranch, if you're still here. And Florence, I don't know. I have a feeling that you're musical. I have a feeling that you are musical. Just feel it in my bones. I got this feeling down in my soul. And this is something that I wanted to talk about. The difference in the level of skill. So there are certain people that have been producing music for a long time, and it comes easily for them. I spoke to one of my good friends just recently, and he said that it takes him half an hour to an hour to produce a track. You know, someone needs a track, and it's like, oh yeah, he can load it up and go and still make a difference in a very short space of time. And I was like, I want to get to that level. And I was going to two things I'm going to say about that. One, in order to get to that level, you have to create more. Create more. In order to get to that level, you have to create more. Right? So, you say, you want to be a producer. How many songs have you produced? Like from start to finish? And be like, yeah, okay. You know, I've started a lot of projects, but just never finished them. And so we will be doing a lot of projects and doing them on the live. You know. Yeah. Simply Obs, thank you for coming in. Rich Cat, right? It takes me a big part, 6 to 8 hours to produce a cover video. 6 to 8 hours to produce a cover video. Wow. I can believe it. Trust me. I took a production class last week. There was a free 3-day class on mixing. It was supposed to be a mixing. It's called Fix Your Mix. And I sat there through the classes. They were like 4 to 6 hours. This guy took one song, and he probably could have mixed it a lot faster than he did, but he was explaining his process. And just from the mixing portion, they were able to say, okay, this part needs to be recorded, re-record. They could fix the errors that were found in the recording part, but they were like, no, this needs to be done again. And just from the mixing portion of the production process is like, oh, okay. So yes, I could see where it can take 6 to 8 hours to produce a cover video. Kathy, I totally get it. And we have another great musician in the house, Simply Obs. Whoop, whoop. We're going to say, thank you for coming in. And this is for everyone that has come in so far. Thank you. Yeah. So we have a great start, including rehearsal, recording the final work, blending and editing vocals and music tracks. Rich Cat says, I'm particularly ridiculous with, I'm ridiculously particular with being in it. And there are a lot of producers that make, they're stickler, or the artist is like, no, that F sharp needs to be a G. You can't play F sharp there. It totally gets the vibe off. And yeah. So part of my journey would be doing the recording and the mixing, getting into mastering, some of the tools. We can talk about some of the tools, but we're predominantly going to be using Logic and probably going to be using stock plugins for the most part, because I have other plugins. I have templates. Trust me, I have purchased them all. It's like a new thing comes up. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to use that for my production. But David, you ain't producing nothing. So why are you buying that next thing when you haven't mastered what you got? And so for a lot of people, they end up buying stuff. yeah, 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 yeah. They end up buying stuff to enhance the production when they haven't mastered what it is they have. And so, yeah, it will be a learning curve. And I've looked at other producers and they're in there and they're just like, oh, yeah, they got an idea, boom, and it's like, oh, I got this beat. And they play the beat. And it's like, oh, all right, I could use this. But because they have worked with their tools a long time, they're able to make those moves and those decisions a lot faster. And so that's what we'll be hoping to accomplish this year. And I didn't want to wait any longer. I could have done it last week, but I knew I had that production class. So I said, okay, no, I'll do it this year. And so this is just an introduction, y'all. It's 7:29 now, and yes, it's 7:29, 7:30, and wanting to make this real simple. If any of you are here still, you want to just type house. Just type house, it will drop your link. So simply OBS, if you just type house, it will drop your link. I'll put an example here, and so you can see that there. Come on, come on, come on. Okay. I was like, Nightbot, don't fail me now. Don't fail me now. Come on, Nightbot. So if you have a moment you want to share your link, that is the way to do it. All right. So, so one of the things that we're going into section 5 now, and one of the things is setting up your home studio and learning the essential software. So for a lot of people, if you have a Mac, you have GarageBand, and you can create fantastic songs with GarageBand. In fact, I know there are people who use Audacity, which is a free and I didn't mention that when I was talking about digital audio workstations. Audacity got a massive update late last year, and it was phenomenal, the amount of things you can do with just Audacity. It's free software. You can use it on Mac or PC, and I believe you can use it on Linux as well. It is amazing. Amazing. So you set up your home studio. You can use GarageBand, Logic, Ableton. We mentioned them before. Reaper, Cakewalk, Sonar. Um, a lot of different tools that are out there. Some are free, like GarageBand and Audacity, and some are not. Some are paid. Logic. No, you could even get Logic for iPad. So on the go mobile production on the iPad is just amazing. And cat, if you can just type house as well too. That will drop your link for everyone to grab it. Let me see if I missed any other comments. I think that's it. Oh, Kat said she connected. Yes, Kat said she connected with you, Obs, on your channel. Obs does amazing work. Motivational minute. Like literally, sometimes she's just there for a minute, but she's been going live every day for the past 2 years, I believe. Yes, excellent. Cool beans. Okay. So I wanted to make sure that I put in my topic. Okay. So I also want to emphasize the importance of practice, experimentation, and just getting in there and doing the work. Listen, there are so many talented people that just rest on their laurels, rest on their blessed assurance, and just coast. And I have been doing that for years. And this year was like, nope. 2024 is the year for more. Say that with me. 2024 is the year for more. I mean, that's a song right there. Just put a marker. Oh, man. Listen, and I was there when that avatar for Simply Obs was created by the one and only Marshall Fox. Marshall Fox and the Ecamm fam. Really, I like this. You guys were able to come together and meet on this channel. So, cool beans. You're able to connect. Rich Cat has a stream on Fridays where she highlights members of the community and makes I think it's really fascinating just to see where people are and where they end up. Absolutely fascinating. He's like, yep, Marshall Fox made that avatar, and it was just amazing to see. It's on the Ecamm Live channel. And shameless plug, the tool that I'm using right now is Ecamm Live, and it's what allowing me to come to you in the way that I am. Right? The other thing that you can do as a music producer is talk to and listen to other producers. So this stream will also have from time to time different producers to talk about their process and their story and how they came into being music producers. And so I'm going to look forward to that as well. Maybe once a month we'd have someone in to talk about that. But for the rest, most of the time, it'll just be me plugging away, um, utilizing best practices as well I know how, and of just churning the wheel, just churning the wheel. 1 week, I'll take maybe a month. We'll take one song and work through it various times. I'm telling you, I may have an idea at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. Like, let's go. Come down to the studio, turn on the camera, and document the process. Because I believe for a lot of people, they see your end result. Like people would see me talking here now, and they say, David, you sound clear. You're not saying and ah. I do say every once in a while, but it's not as much as I used to say before. So, that came as a result of continuing to exercise my craft. So, documenting the process, thank you, Obs, for that encouragement, is there, right? So, we'll be looking to other producers, seeing how they do the thing that they do and make a difference that way, and seek inspiration. There are certain producers that I follow that have gone the way before, and they've shown the way. And so I learned from them. I have some templates that I can use to jumpstart my production process, but still the creativity and the artistry is my own. Excuse me. All right. So, in this particular section, we're going to just talk about where we were here. We're going to just go over, we're talking about production as it is the process or the way of pulling in pieces from the sum of its parts. Producing is creating a product or service from the sum of its parts. And I use the reference of the Model T and Mr. Ford, how he was able to, put the fenders and the tires and the chassis on the chassis as it's rolling along, each person in its own place. And they stop for this section and they drop the engine in and they connect it all together. It was a process, but they had the sum of the parts, even though each part had its own process of being produced, right? So you get the tires from Goodyear and then you formulate them in a different size, would have to be put on to the rim and attached to the axles, and you put those on and all the different things, and electrically wire everything up. Absolutely. Yes. So that's general production. And then we talked a little bit, focusing more on music production and the role of that technology played in bringing all of the pieces together that we use today, so that the sum of the parts can flow from an idea to the finished product much faster than it did 15, 20, 30 years ago, when, especially for music production, where you had to go to the studio and schedule time around, all the other people who were trying to, and if you didn't have the money, you couldn't. Oof. And now the barrier to the entry for that is so much more reduced because of the advancement and availability of the technological tools. Now, I didn't even talk about AI. If AI, what do you mean? it's like talking about artificial intelligence and the impact that is at. We're not even going to get into that on this video. We talked about the basics of music production and you know different types of microphones and different things. And sure enough, we are going to talk about next week. Probably going to be doing a little bit more on the music production side and getting start. Let's work. This is what we will be working with. For the most part, we're going to get Logic up and running and keep it moving. And when all is said and done, we will be better music producers, better producers in general. And so I would just want to say thank you for those who came today. You want to ask if anyone has any questions. Did I miss something? I want to ask you if you would please comment below. Let me know if you have any ideas. If you want me to produce a song for you, I can and I will love to be able to do that. She's like, yes, pumped to learn. Absolutely. That's good. And we'll ask you to give us a comment, like this video. If this was really helpful to you and you find that this was valuable, you can give us a subscription. Yes. If it's valuable. If it wasn't valuable, well, we're not going to talk about that. You probably will not be. You probably will not be able to pull it out. But yeah, so the one thing to say, the very last Wednesday will be off every month. The very last Wednesday, we won't be on, but you'd see us, and the times may be varying as we go. So that is it. And the next video will be me giving you a song and producing it from start to finish. And yeah, we get the process rolling. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. All right. Doesn't seem to be any questions, so that is good. I thank you for taking the time today. I pray you all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Obs. Thank you, Florence. Thank you, Micah. Those are the ones I believe who did leave. Thank you, Nightbot. And a tall man. Thank you so much for coming through today. We pray you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next one. Ciao, fam.